Hello everybody, welcome to the second video of the 5th of May. So today is the 5th of May, Wednesday the 5th of May, and we've got a video that's a very special one to look at, which is the Mystery Champion. This particular champion has got a lot of people speculating. There is one very obvious version of this situation where people are like, it's definitely this one. But also I've got one other logical suggestion and as well one red herring. So I've got 3 suggestions and options for this. Now just quickly, I've got to explain the red herring situation. Anytime what Kabam are doing, if you're not familiar with a red herring, it's usually something that kind of throws you off the chase or something that's completely ridiculous that's put in place of something. So it's like, say, this question mark could be Genus Vale. It has no complete and logical reason. It's just a case like Kabam want to throw you off the chase. Again, an example is that in-game right here, we have something called There Goes the Multiverse, which in any kind of way is like, yeah, I get it, I understand. Kabam have got this kind of like link they've set up that is very much what's their universe, their kind of Marvel Contest of Champions lore and structure and stuff. But if you look to Psycho Man's comic book history, then you get a very different kind of like idea, especially from association. Like these are some of the characters he's associated with, and you can see that where's Deadpool, not there, you know, same thing with Man-Thing, and there's some really weird ones and associations which, look, let's face it, they're not in the game or they're not synergized. So let's look at this video with what is logical. And the most logical character to fit this is AntiVenom. Let's face it, it's AntiVenom. Because you've got Healing Touch and Mr. Negative, Venom, and how does AntiVenom fit into this? Well, it's actually really obvious. If you watched the video on Sunday, we went over this, but for those that didn't, here's a little bit of an update. So Martin Lee, who is Mr. Negative, accidentally infused the remnants of the symbiote in Eddie's bloodstream with his power and fused them to his white blood cells, creating a new hybrid symbiote which manifested when the Venom symbiote attempted to leave his current host, Mac Gargan, and return to Eddie. This new symbiote, dubbed AntiVenom by Eddie, demonstrated tremendous healing powers and other powers that differ from Venom symbiote, such as producing antibodies that can cure any known disease, remove any other impurities from a human body. Unlike other symbiotes, this symbiote is completely mindless and Eddie Brock is in full control of his actions. This symbiote was destroyed when it was used with a cure for the Spiderverse. But AntiVenom looks logical. AntiVenom would be a really sick character to be put in this game, especially with how it could be very much different from Venom. And the way it kind of works would be having more immunities and more just, I think it'd just be a complete badass. And as well, it'd be a hashtag hero. Sort of. One of the biggest fuels to this fire that gives me more hope that it could be AntiVenom is based on this. And I'm not saying this could be a definite or not, but it's just kind of coincidental that Gabriel Frazera, who is the art director for Marvel Contest of Champions, sketched this in what he refers to be a boring meeting. I can imagine these meetings are never boring. Especially as this was done on April 12th, so last month. And it's just very coincidental, isn't it, to have this AntiVenom sketch, which is a fantastic sketch. And I must kind of give props to the Marvel Contest of Champions or the Kabam art team and as well the animations and champion build team and design, because they just hit it out of the park all the time with the design. There's a few questionable designs, like a few of the Realm of Champions ones that have come into the game. But from the large part of things, they do a fantastic job. So yeah, props to them. It's the rest of the game that, you know, there's a few question marks about its running. But the fact is, look, they do a good job with this, and this gives me hope that AntiVenom could fit the bill. But you said about 2 other characters, Rich. So one of those other characters could be indeed Null. Null has been a character that a lot of players have wanted to see, and it should be and could be incredibly powerful. It has strong links to Venom, not so much with Mr. Negative, but there's definitely a strong tie to say this could be Null. Null would be an incredibly powerful character to put in, and as I said, that link with Venom and as well a huge and extensive regen abilities could be something that adequately ties this in. Now, as I said, I promised you a red herring. Well, there may be one or there may be multiples, especially if we are kind of holding down the healing touch as being something of a key thing. Is it going to be champions that heal or characters that heal? Well, possibly not. It's more than the case of like, okay, well, I touch you, you heal. The same way that Mr. Negative healed Eddie Brock's cancer. So what is another option for that? Well, there's a real kind of like interesting Marvel related article, the link is in the description, which targets some characters which I think could tie in quite well. Black Tarantula, that's an option for this. Scarlet Witch, well, we've got that. Could it be the new version being put in? Maybe. Maybe that's got the tie-in because we're still yet to have that in the game. And that was actually teased and then removed. But also, There's a few others. I don't know if that is like something to do with the Morlocks, possibly. But Exodus could be that. There could be a whole host of different characters that could be associated with this. I don't know. I kind of like the idea of this actually being Black Tarantula. That could be a tie-in, especially with that Spiderverse stuff. Unfortunately, there's not like a direct tie-in that kind of goes like, okay, it could be this. It's just one of these very weird situations where you kind of go, right, well, he can heal by the point of touch, which is only lightly touched upon. So this is a very kind of loose red herring. But as well, it's not a direct association with Venom, and as well, Mr. Negative. It's just a case of there's Spider-Verse connotations and links, which do give some kind of idea that this could be the character. Just quickly, I think it's important to look at where do a lot of these characters that I've kind of like talked about come into play from the point of the state of the battle realm, which, by the way, I do need to do an updated puzzle video. It's just a case it doesn't really fall into the narrative of this, because I just want to make this solely about who this is based on Mr. Negative and other types of tie-ins. In any case, I digress. The fact is, there are various locations. Because this could be either, number one, if it's a villain of the Spider-Verse, then it falls into the right-hand side. Especially if we look at where Venom could go up to there, to the likes of Null, AntiVenom, or this could even be Mr. Negative. Or Mr. Negative could be there as an offshoot from that particular position. And again, this is the theory. But do bear in mind, Shang-Chi and as well Mr. Negative could have their own individual link. What do I mean by that? Well, these question marks that always seem to be, oh, they're just right next to one another, that don't do anything like those two there, which Kabam have done in the past. Then about a year later, they end up kind of like tying them into everything, so everything kind of makes sense with their association. So that could be a thing. But as well, the way that Kabam put it in based on Kabam-based lore, so L-O-R-E, where they're like, okay, well, it just spins off from what that particular month was talking about from a story perspective and a story that Kabam are trying to tell. But my hope is that it could be either over here as a link. It could be something having Black Tarantula here. It could even have something that is associated with AntiVenom here because he is somewhat of a good guy. But then you've got to consider the fact that, well, it may be on the right side because it's more symbiote associated and indeed linking here. So it is a tough one to pinpoint in the state of the battle realm where everything could go, but it's either going to be Spider-Verse connotations there or it's going to be Spider-Verse heroes there. That's going to be the problem that needs a solution. But in any case, I hope you enjoyed this video, and as well, who do you think it is? Like, are there ones that you think are a better fit, especially with Healing Touch? I even had a really kind of crazy idea that this actually could be Dakin, but it's very difficult to kind of like get the link from this being that that you've kind of like got Healing Factor as opposed to Healing Touch. And the story with Dakin is that during the Dark Reign story arc, Dakin went against Symbiote Spider-Man. Even though Symbiote Spider-Man's not in it, it's still theoretically the Venom symbiote, and that's really the link there, that there was the Dark Reign version of Mr. Negative, and also there was a story arc with Spider-Man in the I think it was like something symbiote, Sinister Spider-Man or something story arc. It still was a very interesting read, and I was trying to tie it into this video, but I just didn't think it properly worked, especially if we go by what is Healing Touch as opposed to Healing Factor. It just doesn't play in 100% for this particular video. But hope you enjoyed it. As I said, who do you think it is? Put it in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching the video. Stay locked to the channel because we've got lots of content to cover about the side event and as well the new event in the coming days. I will be posting a little bit later on today because I'm going to go and do some stuff. But yeah, thanks for supporting. Make sure as well, everybody, to check out some of the content that's posted up here. And I'll see you all later on for some of that Indeed content. Have a good one. Bye-bye.